You ever wonder how you can love what you do and still feel completely drained? Right? You're not lazy and you're definitely not broken. You're just leading from this place of depletion instead of alignment. And today, we're going to fix that. Hey leader, welcome back to Profitable Productivity with Trasetta, Washington. I'm Trasetta, your leadership wellness coach and team technician, helping you to lead without losing yourself. Around here, we talk about how to build high-performing teams without burning out in the process, because your impact should not come at the expense of your well-being. And I know your schedule is already packed, so let's start with your quick win for the week. Here it is. Identify your top 3 energy leaks and commit to choosing one today. So grab a pen, or you could just make a mental note. But I want you to answer these questions. Where is your energy going? Maybe it's endless meetings that don't really move the mission forward. Maybe it is the emotional labor of trying to keep everybody else on track. Or maybe it's even that invisible mental load, the part where you're constantly anticipating everyone's needs, but no one's really checking on yours. Now, once you've got your 3, circle the one that drains you the most. That's going to be your signal to either delegate it, delay it, or drop it altogether. It's simple, but very powerful. Now let's get into today's topic. A few years ago, I remember wrapping up what should have been a successful week. I had checked every goal off, every meeting was handled. I even put out a few fires, but I definitely felt depleted at the end of the week. I wasn't overwhelmed by the workload. I actually enjoyed most of what I was doing. But by Friday afternoon, I was done. I sat at my desk and I realized I had been just simply functioning, but I wasn't doing anything to refuel. I was giving energy in all these different directions to my clients, to my team, to my family, but never taking time to replenish it. I was pouring out without pausing to fill back up. And that's when it hit me. I wasn't tired of the work. I was tired of the way that I was working. And that's what I want to unpack today, because so many mission-driven leaders are in that same space. You love what you do, but your body and your mind are literally begging you to slow down. So let's talk about the 3 hidden causes of that purpose-driven fatigue, right? The ones that most leaders never really see coming. The first one is you're running on emotional overdrive. So you care really deeply. That's one of your greatest strengths, actually. But it's also one of the biggest reasons that you're tired. When you're constantly managing not just your work, but the emotions, frustrations, and expectations of everyone around you, your nervous system never gets a break. You're carrying not only your own pressure, but the pressure of your entire team. Think about it. How often do you how often do you leave a conversation with a team member, but you're still replaying what they said in your head? You're still trying to fix their frustration or soothe their stress. That is emotional overdrive, my friend, and it is exhausting. But here's the impact to your team. They feel your energy, whether you say a word or not. So if you're drained, they're subconsciously mirroring that depletion. and you can't motivate them if you're on empty. Now, for you as a leader, the reset that you need to make is to, before you jump into that problem solving mode, you pause and ask, am I responding from pressure, or am I responding from being present? When you are present, that brings calm. However, pressure brings chaos, and your team can always tell which one is leading the meeting. The second one is you're mistaking productivity for progress. Right? Let's be honest. You're good at getting things done, but busyness is this really sneaky thief of purpose. When we equate our value with how much we produce, we start chasing volume instead of value. I'm going to repeat that. When we equate our value with how much we produce, we start chasing volume instead of value. And listen, if that hit you in the nose, it hit me too. Right? I have to take my own advice on many occasions, right? But here's the thing. You check all the boxes, you answer all the emails, you attend all the meetings, and at the end of the day, you still feel like you're behind. Any of that sound familiar? That's because you've crossed from leading strategically into operating from a place of reactivity. You're managing the machine instead of directing the mission. And that impacts your team in this way. When you measure success only by output, the team learns to chase tasks instead of outcomes. They start equating their worth with how busy they are. And that right there is a fast track to a collective burnout. So here's the shift you need to make as the leader. Shift one key question in your daily reflection. So instead of asking, what did we get done? Or what did I get done? Ask, what difference did it make? What's the difference that what we got done made in the overall landscape of things? And that small language shift refocuses you, and it refocuses your team on the impact instead of the volume of activity. And the third one is you have lost your recovery rhythm. Most leaders that I work with don't really have an energy problem. What they have is a recovery problem, right? You're constantly outputting, you're constantly pouring out, you're leading meetings, mentoring staff, making decisions, managing crises that pop up. But there's no rhythm of replenishment built into your day. And notice I said day. I'm not talking about just taking a vacation. I'm talking about micro moments of recovery built into your daily routines. Right? We live in a world that glorifies that constant motion. We wear busy like a badge of honor, but leadership requires stillness. When you never pause, your body stays in a low grade fight or flight state, which quietly tears down your creativity, your patience, and your decision making. And what ends up happening is your team picks up on that because you have normalized exhaustion as commitment. So they'll start to believe that burnout is just part of the job. And it isn't. So here's what you need to do as a leader to do a reset. First of all, start small. Don't try to take on too much. Just add one 10-minute pause block to your calendar every single day, right? No screens, no scrolling. All I want you to do in those 10 minutes is to breathe, do some deep breathing exercises. You can stretch, or you can just sit and stare out the window. Give yourself the permission just to be, just to be, just to exist. There's no doing in this 10 minutes. And that is how you start to rebuild your rhythm without having to overhaul your entire life. So here's what I want you to reflect on this week. Where have I been leading from depletion or exhaustion instead of from alignment? It could be that you've been overcommitting just to kind of keep the peace. It could be that you've been taking on some things that your team really should be handling. Or, maybe it's you just been ignoring your own needs because you think that rest is a reward instead of a requirement or a strategy, a productivity strategy. Whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. Your energy is the thing that really tells the truth. Even when your mouth says, "Oh, I'm fine." So I want you to protect your energy like your mission depends on it, because truthfully it does. Now, if this conversation hit home for you, I want to personally invite you to join me for the Burnout Proof Leadership Challenge. It's a free 3-day experience where I'll help you uncover the patterns that lead to burnout and show you how to lead with energy, confidence, and clarity without carrying all the weight yourself. We get started on Monday, October 13th. It's powerful, it's practical, and it's completely free. You can save your spot at profitableproductivityllc.com/BPLC. The link can also be found inside of the show notes. Trust me, you do not want to miss this. Well, all right, friend. That's it for today's episode of Profitable Productivity. Remember, your mission deserves a well-rested leader. And you don't have to prove you're passionate about the cause through exhaustion. You can lead well and live well. I'll see you all again next week.